Certainly it would be entirely unintentional and no more than normal.
Meanwhile, 3 of the horses in Britain's show jumping team arrive at Blackbush Aerodrome. Among them is Fox Hunter, proudly conscious that he'll be carrying our last gold medal hopes. Lieutenant Colonel Harriet Llewellyn is there to see Fox Hunter and the team leave on their long flight and to thank, on behalf of his partner, all those people, including many children, who'd sent them messages of good luck. The Olympic swimming events are well underway, and here's the start of the women's 100 metres freestyle event. In the stands, the Duke of Edinburgh and Prince Bernhard watch the thrilling battle won by Katalin Čurka of Hungary, with Holland second and Hungary again third. 17-year-old Angela Bronwell of Worthing finishes 8th to receive well-deserved applause as the star of the future, while a star of today receives her due as Olympic champion. Jersey reaches another milestone in Channel Island history as it celebrates the golden jubilee of its famous Battle of Flowers. It all began 50 years ago on Victoria Avenue, this year's carnival site, and formed part of the coronation festivities of King Edward VII. The same spirit reigns on in 1952, the year of the accession of Queen Elizabeth II, who visited Jersey 3 years ago. The prize for the best exhibit goes to this spaceship, a futuristic impression filled with the scent of man's endeavor. So the procession comes to an end and the real Battle of Flowers begins, the war of streamers being waged over the scented gardens. Jersey indeed lives up to its reputation as the island with a place in the sun. Back in London, pets are on parade in the Star Dog Show at the White City, held in aid of the Animal Health Trust. Under the rules of the competition, they're stepping out into show society for the first time and meeting film star Yolande Donlan. The sheepdog trials find four-legged rivals of England, Scotland and Wales in opposition.
Steady there. Take time.
Yes, commands like these bring brilliant action. And canine intelligence proves too much for woolly-headed stragglers. There's a children's fancy dress parade too, with Little Red Riding Hood showing the right way to deal with a wolf. And a young constable takes his charge before the judges, who look with equal favor on the many competitors. Aye, hold him, cowboy. It's showtime in Munich, too, as the Traber family of tightrope artists demonstrate their skill. Alphonse Traber Sr., father of the troupe, walks blindfold 230 feet above the River Isar to a church steeple. And Alphonse Jr. contributes to the entertainment by balancing on a flexible pole. Now, father and son join in their famous motorcycle act. It's stunts like these that have kept generations of the Traber family in the forefront of the tightrope business since the beginning of the 18th century. Nice work. The vital Mediterranean naval base of Malta was the centre of recent manoeuvres in which 80 Allied warships took part under the direction of Admiral Lord Mountbatten. For men of the Royal Navy, the exercise was the forerunner of the annual cruise, that wonderful opportunity for shore leave in foreign ports under summer skies. With the fleet in harbour, the commanding officers of the many units visit their commander-in-chief and are piped aboard his flagship, HMS Glasgow. There, Lord Mountbatten returns their salutations before escorting them to the quarter-deck for a discussion. This old naval custom of the C&C holding a conference while in port is but one of many that have been revived by Admiral Lord Mountbatten since he took over command of the Mediterranean fleet. The fleet's stay in port often ends abruptly. A call takes them steaming to a new destination. Amid the unrest of the Middle East, the Royal Navy is ever ready to guard and defend British lives and interests. The closing event of the Helsinki Games, the Grand Prix des Nations, found Britain well placed in the team section as Colonel Stuart, our Nahalo, conceded only a minor fault. And here's the 1948 individual champion, H. Mariles Cortes of Mexico. This faultless exhibition by Jonquière Doriola of France won him the championship after 5 riders, including 48-year-old White of Great Britain, had tied for first place. So to the team event. Fox Hunter and Colonel Llewellyn had conceded 18 3/4 faults in their morning heat. But in the final round, Fox Hunter, knowing how much depended on him, jumped the 13 obstacles faultlessly to ensure victory for Britain. The combined team of an Englishman, a Welshman and a Scotsman had triumphed, and fittingly, the Union Jack saluted them in victory. So it was farewell to the 1952 Olympiad as the sacred flame died and the Olympic hymn was heard across the arena for the last time. Capri, and from the Island Hotel come the first pictures of ex-King Farouk of Egypt since his abdication. They show him with his wife, daughters, and the baby son who succeeds him as King Fuad II. The exiled king, to be known in future as Prince Farouk, holds in his arms the future destiny of Egypt's royal house. Argentina mourns the passing of a national heroine, Eva Perón, wife of the president, as crowds queue to pay homage to her memory at the Ministry of Labor building in Buenos Aires, where her body lies in state. Like many social reformers, Eva Perón came from humble parentage, but marriage to the President of the Republic gave her the opportunity to initiate vast schemes for the good of her people. Cheshire, and one way of spending a bank holiday is trying to reach the top of the Beeston Castle hill climb. Now it's easy to see why so few riders reach the summit. Like the bank holiday weather, they just keep falling down. So in this jet age, one rider decides to go up that hill like a rocket. But it took a local boy, Don Evans of the Nantwich Club, to show them all how to do it. Preparations for the coronation are centred upon Westminster, where at Church House, the Minister of Works, the Right Honourable David Eccles, is already planning the great pageant of state. By ancient heritage, England's Premier Duke, the Duke of Norfolk, is responsible for the organisation of the solemn ceremony, while the Minister of Works outlines the facilities his department will provide on this day of national rejoicing.
I am very glad of this opportunity to welcome you here and to do my main job, which is to define, for your benefit, I hope, what are the duties of the Ministry of Works in the preparations for the coronation. The Minister of Works, that's me, the Minister of Works is the Earl Marshal's handyman. My job is to set the stage, to build a theatre inside Westminster Abbey, to provide seats and standing room, viewpoints, decorations along that part of the processional route which is Crown property, to arrange flowers, floodlighting, fireworks, and other expressions of public rejoicing, and on the line of the procession to take care of the press, broadcasters, and cameramen. The great advantage of the coronation route, which Her Majesty has been pleased to approve, is that the procession will proceed from Buckingham Palace and return to Buckingham Palace by the Mall, which all will agree is the finest ceremonial way in London. Now, our plans for the stands are not quite complete, but I do expect to provide open and covered seats for at least 98,000 people all along these stands that you see on the plan here. Outside the Abbey, on those parts of the route which are Crown property, the Ministry of Works will provide the press and cameramen with facilities to report and photograph the procession. Well, ladies and gentlemen, while there's no thrill like seeing this great show with your own eyes, I'm pretty sure that for every 10,000 people who do see the coronation, at least 1 million will read of it and watch it on the screen. Therefore, I've had played over to me and studied very carefully all the films and all the photographs made of the coronation in 1937. And there are many lessons to be learned from those documents. It's quite clear that this time, right from the very beginning, we must plan the scheme of decorations and select the points at which cameras are sighted so that the best pictures can be made. Very obvious from looking at the films made last time that insufficient forethought was given to this question, which is so important. Thinking about the coronation, I'd like to end up in this way. I count myself very fortunate to live under a monarchy. And if I know British workmen, they are going to spare no pains to make the setting of the coronation worthy of their history. And I'm quite sure that the many peoples of the Commonwealth who will be gathered in London next June will vie in loyalty and affection to express their joy to see the Queen crown Elizabeth II.
sightseers waited outside the palace, the new Soviet ambassador, Mr. Gromyko, left his embassy in Kensington, accompanied by the Marshal of the Diplomatic Corps, to present his credentials to Her Majesty the Queen. By long tradition, the royal stables provided the 3 state landauls which carried the ambassador and 7 senior members of his staff. At the palace, Mr. Gromyko was presented to the Queen by the Foreign Secretary, Mr. Eden. Then, later in the day, the Queen and her family left London for their annual Scottish holiday. In Arctic waters, an American experimental task force on maneuvers is battling with a tough foe, pack ice. Equipment, still on the secret list, is put through its supreme test. For in modern warfare, a fighting ship must be instantly ready for action, whether in tropical clime or Arctic waste. It's grueling labor in sub-zero weather as a submarine teams up with an icebreaker in an attempt to make some headway. Yes, their immediate task is as simple and as tough as that. But even the armored prow of the icebreaker can't overcome the challenge of the relentless barrier. So, a sea lane is blasted out with high explosives. It's clear water ahead, and a bitterly won triumph is gained over the frozen north. Korea, where the rainy season makes its annual appearance, welcomed by the farmers but dreaded by those men of the United Nations whose job it is to keep the supply lines from becoming a sea of mud. But even in this grim weather for soldiers and cameramen, there's a brighter side provided by visiting variety artists who make the boys pack up their troubles and smile at the cost of a real soaking. London sees a demonstration in Hyde Park called roadmanship during National Road Safety Week. Too often the public's first view of an accident is the crashed vehicle and the arrival of an ambulance. They seldom see why it happened. Thoughtless road users are as guilty as speed fiends forever mounting road casualties. It's not always the much maligned motorcyclists either. Opening your offside door without looking, or riding bicycles 2 abreast, each of these thoughtless habits contributes to the annual August toll of nearly 500 deaths. London again, where pikemen of the Honourable Artillery Company greet their Colonel Commandant, Field Marshal Lord Alanbrooke, who had come to unveil 3 stained glass windows in memory of the company's fallen of World War II. And a book of remembrance joins that of the earlier war to mark the sacrifice made by London's oldest regiment.